So I'm 4 months into my YouTube creator journey. And I can tell you honestly, I almost quit. Not because I ran out of ideas, but because this process is pretty intense. It doesn't matter if you have 9 or 100,000 subscribers, being a YouTube creator is a lot of work. The good news is, I believe I found a few ways that can help reduce that stress. Now, these are not growth hacks, but they may help you stay sane. I'm new to the creator world. For the longest time, I was just a consumer. When I finally decided to switch lanes and become a creator, I realized very quickly YouTube is a long game. I mean, let's face it, the algorithm might not be your enemy, but it is not your friend, especially when you're just starting out. It's essentially a gatekeeper. It doesn't show your content to anyone until it feels like it gets to know who you are and what you represent. And more importantly, you have to prove that you're going to show up consistently. Now, if you're a mid or even a larger size channel, you have an additional worry. You actually have an audience, and an audience that you can lose. So you have the added pressure of raising the bar each week to make sure your videos hit some mark so you don't shed viewers. Now, for me, no one watches, so I have very little to lose. But in either case, creating content, videos, it doesn't appear out of thin air. It's a lot of work. There's editing, there's research, there's the filming part of it. It's a real time investment for creators. So in my opinion, it's really important to remove obstacles. So showing up is a lot easier. Everything else is out of your control, so there's no point in even worrying about it. I mean, just to remind everybody how much work being a creator really is, let's just do some simple math. Let's say you create one video a week for an entire year. So that's 52 videos. And let's say it takes you 6 hours to do each video from the time you have the idea to the time you publish it. Now, that's a really conservative number. So you've got 52 videos times 6 hours each. That's about 312 hours total. If you divide that by 8 hours, which is a typical workday, that means you're working for 39 straight days, including weekends, 39 straight days in a year to make your content for one full year. That is not nothing, folks. That's a lot of time investment. Now, when I did that math, I realized pretty quickly I'm going to have to find a way to kind of reduce that pressure, or I was going to end up making that dreaded I quit video. So here are 3 things that stopped me from quitting YouTube. The first thing was writing down my topics for the next 6 months. This reduced what I call like topic or idea fatigue. Having 6 months of topics out on paper where I could see them, it helped me calm down a bit. And, you know, we've all been there where we're like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about this week? But seeing it on paper, you start to relax a bit, right? I've talked about this in another video and I'll post that in the description. But knowing you have 6 months of topics not only reduces stress, but the process of actually jotting them down will actually spawn all new ideas. In fact, when I first did my list, I came up with 6 months of topics, but I'll be honest, over the last 5 or 6 videos, I've only done maybe 1 of them from that list. I've had new ideas come either from that list or just something happened in the world and made me think about doing a new topic. But they are at least, that list that I have, that 6 months, it is at least a fallback, which is also a tremendous comfort. You don't have to go, oh my God, I have nothing to talk about, but I need to get a video out tomorrow. The second thing I did was batching. Create 3, 4, 5 videos, upload them, and schedule them for the future. I can't tell you how calming it is to look in YouTube Studio and see that I have 3 or 4 videos that are ready to go. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do this week or even next week. And if you're in a funk, sometimes we get in a mental funk. It's really nice to know that you have some videos out there staged and ready to go. I know it's work. It's not like, hey, this is simple. But if you map out your next 6 months and you put the time in to create the videos and you batch them, you now have 2 pressures off your back. And I can tell you, you'll love that. So the third thing that made this a bit more sustainable for me was simplifying my workflow. Frankly, it was a game changer. It allowed me to focus on process versus detail. And what do I mean by that? So let's just take scripting or notes or bullets, whatever you do. You know, use the same format, the same structure, the same font. every single time. This way you're not reinventing the wheel every time you create a new video script or whatever you want to call it. It makes your life so much easier to know that you can just go in and everything is just automatic and all you're doing is the creative part. When I record video, I know, because I've read my notes, where all the emotional parts are, so I know, or at least I try, to hit them when I'm doing the video. But I also don't try to go well beyond my capability, which is reading a script end to end or reading my notes end to end without interruption. I'm not able to do that. So I've broken things out into small chunks. Not to mention, I am more like a notes guy than a full-blown script, in my opinion. So it's really important for me to have chunks of information that I can look at, but then expand upon when I'm reading. So I recommend highly to just break your content into chunks. It's much easier for you to kind of nail that when you record. The last thing that I do as an example is when I edit. I just take my A-roll in, I bring it in, and I have presets for color grading, presets for audio. And again, it just makes things automatic. Within a minute or two, all my A-roll is set up for sound and it's set up for color. And now I can just focus on, any B-roll I want to add, sound effects. And we all know like music is just a rabbit hole that you go down. Sorry, not rat hole, rabbit hole that you go down every single time you create a video. For me, since I do videos that are like 4 to 8 minutes long, so I'm considered long form, it takes me on average about 6 hours to do a video. Now that's 2 to 3 hours on my notes, another hour for recording, and probably another 2 to 3 hours on editing, and most of that time is down the rabbit hole of music. Before I had that process, I would spend 6 to 20 hours on each video, and some videos still take longer than 6 hours, but they're really kind of outliers. The bottom line is like having a process, it really removes a lot of the mundane, repetitive parts of creating content, and it allows you to focus on the making part, on the creative part, which is why we all got into this to begin with. So whatever your process is for creating videos, I'd say take a step back and see how you can streamline it and make it easier for yourself. You will be glad you did. I think I should add this, that it really does help if you learn to love the process, all of it, end to end. Because until you hit some level of scale, you will be the writer, the director, the publisher, the editor, the music director for quite some time. So learn to enjoy it. Remember, the creators that become successful aren't more talented than you, but they just keep showing up. That's what's important. And most people don't quit because they're untalented. They quit because they're overwhelmed. So let's reduce the overwhelm and give yourself a real shot at sticking around. Let me know what you do to help keep yourself sane as a creator. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to our next conversation.